Hey, I'm Scott and welcome back to the Practical Kung Fu YouTube channel. So in this video, I wanted to discuss the difference between combatives training and traditional martial arts training. So with traditional martial arts training, you have the idea that a student is going to stick with training in a martial art for years and years. And over time, they're going to become very proficient in practicing their forms and developing a lot of different techniques, punches, kicks, blocks, and combinations and whatnot. Combatives training was born out of the idea that, and it goes back to the early part of the 20th century, as a means of training armed forces when you don't have the benefit of time for training them. So combatives focuses more on principles rather than the development of a bunch of different techniques. If you train long enough in an art like Kung Fu, which I did for 8 years, you're going to learn a bunch of different techniques that are demonstrated in the forms that we train. So you're getting a bunch of different techniques for dealing with incoming attacks, and it's more of a counter-attacking. Kung Fu is generally a counter-attacking type of system overall, at least the system that I learned. So combatives, the idea is you employ basic principles to deal with an assailant as quickly as possible so that you can get out of the situation as quickly as possible. So one principle in the world of combatives that we focus on is hit first. So if you've identified that somebody is a threat to you, then, and you have developed through your intuition that they're going to strike you, then you hit them first. And the idea behind that is the person who gets in the first shot usually wins the fight. It's combatives instructors will, such as Jeff Thompson, indicate that it's at least 80% of the time the person who gets in the first shot, and usually it's the person who hits first, will win that fight 80% of the time. So that's one particular principle. Identifying when you're about to get hit so that you can get that first shot in. Another principle is to move forward and constantly put pressure on your opponent. So if somebody's coming at you, obviously, initially you're going to be on the defensive. But the longer that you're on the defensive, the more likely it is that you're going to get injured or you're going to get the worst of it. So the other day I put up a video suggesting that the front thrust kick could potentially be a decent lead technique for someone who's we've identified as a threat. They're coming at us in a menacing, in a menacing manner. Perhaps they even have a weapon of some kind. It might be a knife or whatever. So I demonstrated a front thrust kick with the idea that I also want to take ground and put forward pressure on them. If they're coming at me, generally speaking, they're probably not expecting me to throw a kick right away. They're going to think, they probably think initially that I must be some sort of a target, a prey, an easy target or whatever. So they're coming at me with some sort of intent in that regard. They're not coming at me with the idea that they're going to get hurt. So while a front thrust kick does take some time to develop, you can probably still catch somebody by surprise. Now, when I demonstrated that kick, I demonstrated it like this. And I moved forward. So I got a lot of criticism for that because I set the foot down on the ground forward, whereas your traditional martial arts trainer, student, whatever, is going to demonstrate that kick and pull it back. When we learn a front thrust kick, we learn it in pieces. Get it up into chamber as high as possible. Push the hips out, strike with the bottom of the foot, pull it back into chamber and whatnot. So you can break that kick down. I'm not a tremendously skilled person is throwing a kick at throwing a kick like that, but I can still throw it with enough force. Now I can pull it back like that, but now I haven't taken any ground. If I miss with the kick, they're still coming at me. So I miss with the kick and I pull the foot back, they're still coming at me. Now I've got a problem. Now they still have the ability to push me back. But if I miss with the kick, now I'm in their space and they cannot deploy as easily as they could have before if they still have room. So it's kind of like that idea of if somebody's about to hit you, you're not quite ready for it. What we try to train in combatives is to get inside the arc of that punch if they're throwing some sort of a rounded punch at our head. We want to get inside the arc of that punch so that it goes past us rather than get back this way. If they miss with that punch, they're still moving forward, and now we're in line for the follow-up shot. So when I did that video the other day, I was also employing that concept of moving forward and putting forward pressure on. So you can criticize that all you want. You may not agree with that particular principle, but in the combatives world, that is a principle that we do follow. You want to be offensive. If you're on the defense, you're losing. The longer you're on defense, the more likely it is you're going to lose the altercation, which could mean you lose your life as well. So I get that there are superior fighters to me out there. I've never trained in MMA. I've never fought in kickboxing. I've avoided fights my whole life. All I'm doing is passing along knowledge and information that I think can be helpful. You can do whatever you want with it. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you check out the website, practical-kungfu.com, and we'll see you down the road.